A journey through a stunning pixel art world, following a twisting story of deceit and relationships. Does Evansremains hit the right chords, or should it remain off your wish list? Let's find out. Evansremains seems simple enough at first. Go to an island, uncover its mysteries, and find Evan. However, the plot twists several times with the introduction of new key characters. Without spoiling anything, you will have absolutely no idea how this one ends, and every time you think you understand, it throws another spanner at you. However, after the 5th or so spanner, the story did begin to drag a little. For a game with lots of written dialogue, the characters' facial animations and fantastically animated sprites add further depth to the brilliantly written dialogue, allowing you to feel the characters' emotions with every line. I have a love-hate relationship with these characters. There were moments I loved their charming dialogue and banter between them, but again, due to there being so many twists, the characters you grow to love can quickly turn out to have different motives, so the character building aspect gets thrown out the window on several occasions. Finally, this game is roughly half puzzle platformer, half reading dialogue, so keep that in mind if reading is not your forte. The game switches between story-driven dialogue sections and puzzle platforming zones called monoliths. The puzzle mechanics are simple enough and don't require Bubba as you levels of mastermind, but some did have my brain hurting a tad. One thing I love about this game is that there is a purpose behind every puzzle you are doing. There is a fundamental relationship between the gameplay and story. The gameplay does get a bit stale towards the end, and the difficulty curve was a bit sporadic for me, but that may have just been my inability to work out particular puzzles. Ultimately, the ratio of puzzle gameplay to dialogue was a bit disappointing, and a greater level of depth and variation in later puzzles would have helped the game's pacing a lot. Evansremains is an excellent example as to why pixel art lives on to this day. The visuals are stunning and vibrant, the beautiful parallax background creates an excellent sense of depth, and each zone brings its own feel. As mentioned before, the sprites and character design is top notch and really brings out their individual personalities. My only gripe with the visuals is that the monolith puzzle sections are all the same colour palette and design, meaning the variation only lies in the walking bits between the puzzles. This makes sense in terms of the story, but can make the puzzle areas feel a bit stale artistically after a while. A surreal journey through a mysterious island needs a fitting soundtrack, and my golly have they nailed it here. The soundtrack is brilliant and fits each zone impeccably. A wider variation of the tracks would have been great, but for a small studio, that's being a bit greedy. There is a serious attention to detail with the sound design. Each character has its own tone when talking, higher pitched beeping for the girls and grittier, distorted beeping for the men. These small details add a lot of depth, and clear thought has been put into the sound aspect. An engaging story with too many twists makes for a slightly underwhelming conclusion. However, the beautiful art style, character design and interesting puzzles makes for a charming and engaging experience. If you haven't checked this one out yet, I would highly recommend you do so.